In our last episode, we followed Dr. Madison Lee through Taft Tunnel to emerge outside the Citadel. There, Madison Lee had her old acquaintance, Elder Lyons, open the door to allow a sanctuary. The Citadel is the headquarters of the Brotherhood of Steel here in the capital wasteland. It was built within the ruins of pre-war America's Pentagon. And it is from here that the Brotherhood of Steel stages every attack against super mutants in the wasteland. We arrived in the dead of night, still overwhelmed by the events of the past day. Thankfully, we find many beds here in the courtyard, beds designed for the Brotherhood of Steel initiates. We'll crash here for the night. In the morning, we feel a little better. Then we remember what happened to James. We can't bring him back, but perhaps we can make some sense of what happened, and to do so, we need to talk with the members of the Brotherhood of Steel. After all, we learned that Father had worked with them on Project Purity in the past. This morning, we find Brotherhood of Steel initiates being trained at firing ranges here in the courtyard, and the man in charge of their training is Paladin Gunny.
Initiate, you've got a lot of nerve to interrupt. Oh, my apologies, stranger. I thought you were one of these worthless initiates. I swear these kids would be lost without me here to powder their asses.
What do you do here?
I am charged with the duty of turning these maggots into Brothers of Steel. With the threat of the Enclave, they're likely going to be pressed into service before they've taken the oath. So I've got a lot of work to do.
So, any thoughts on the Enclave?
Killing unarmed civilians makes me sick. Come over here. Try fighting someone who shoots back. Fucking cowards.
Care to share anything about the super mutants?
Why do you think I ride these initiates so hard? I make training hell so fighting those uglies won't be.
Hey, I found a Brotherhood of Steel holotag. What should I do with it?
Talk to Scribe Jameson. She's our keeper of the scrolls. She'll want to know what you found.
Where can I find Scribe Jameson?
She spends most of her time in the archives. You'll find them in A-Ring, near the Great Hall.
I'll be going now.
Damn initiates.
We can ask those exact same questions for every person we find here, but each person has a completely different answer, and so even though the questions are repetitious, I'll be sure to include them in this video. Next, we see Elder Lyons himself walking around the courtyard.
You have my condolences. Your father was a good man.
I'd like to know more about the Brotherhood of Steel.
The Brotherhood is an old organization going back to the years just after the war. We are but a part of it. What would you like to know?
If you're just part of the Brotherhood, where's the rest of it?
The Brotherhood began on the West Coast and exists there still. We were dispatched to this location many years ago. In truth, the Brotherhood of Steel has been struggling for years, both here and back home. Honor, truth, courage. These virtues seem to have little meaning in these troubled times, I'm afraid.
Why are you here in the capital wasteland?
Now, that's the real question, isn't it? Our orders were, and are, to acquire any and all advanced technology, and we have, to the best of our abilities. But when I realized the extent of the super mutant threat, I felt it was my responsibility to aid the people in their struggle against them. Unfortunately, my superiors back west disagree with my assessment of the situation. They feel I've grown too attached to the local populace. And they're right. In any event, the Enclave's arrival changes everything.
How long have you been here?
It's been over 20 years since we arrived, and we've been struggling to contain and eradicate the super mutants for nearly as long. With the arrival of the Enclave, I have a terrible feeling the super mutants are the least of our worries.
What do you know about the Enclave?
More than anyone else, I dare say. Certainly enough to know they're the greatest threat the capital wasteland has ever faced. The Brotherhood of Steel has encountered the Enclave before, you see. Over 30 years ago, back in California. Then they were led by a President Richardson. Now we've got this Eden to contend with. It matters not now, as before they seek to control and destroy, all in the guise of restoring order. Your father, I fear, was just the beginning.
Anything you can tell me about the super mutants?
Would you believe no? It's pathetic, really, considering we've been fighting those abominations for nearly 20 years. In all that time, all we've managed to do is to contain the threat, hold them back so they don't overrun every blasted settlement out here. But we don't really know anything. Where they're from, why they've infested the DC ruins. And now here we are, holed up in our Citadel. Low on resources, low on troops. It's enough to make an old man so very tired.
Can you tell me about the outcasts?
The outcasts are a result of my greatest mistake, but a mistake I'm proud of nonetheless. When I came here, I realized for the first time that the Brotherhood's technology could truly save the survivors in this wasteland. I chose to help them, even if it meant putting the Brotherhood's interests at risk. Some of my soldiers called me a hero. Others called me a traitor. The dissenters left my command, calling themselves outcasts to mock me. I cannot fault their dedication, even if I find them lacking in compassion.
I thought the protection of humanity was a part of the Brotherhood's oaths.
Only in a very broad sense. The Brotherhood's oaths are to protect humanity's progress, but not necessarily every human. The outcasts and members of the Brotherhood in other places consider it a waste to protect most people. After all, they say, everyone knows how to make another human, but the secrets to making a P-94 plasma rifle are all but lost.
How do your remaining soldiers feel about the outcasts?
Even now, a year after they left, the wounds of their departure are still sore. Some of my soldiers are angry about it. They see it as an insult to me. Bless them for their loyalty. They're more angry about it than I ever was. Others understand their decision. Sometimes I hear them wondering if they should have gone with them. I can't blame them, but I stand by my decision, and I respect theirs.
Has your decision been worth it?
Has it been worth the cost in lives and resources to protect people like you from the super mutants? You tell me. I suspect my daughter's squad helped save your life. And most of our recent recruits have come from those we've saved over the years. It's cost us, but we've saved many lives, and made the capital wasteland a place where people can live. Yes, I'd say that's been worth it.
If we don't know how to wear power armor, we can get permission to receive power armor training from Elder Lyons. Can someone in the Citadel train me to wear power armor?
Why, yes. Yes, indeed, there is someone. Our intrepid Paladin Gunny trains all initiates in the use of power armor. When they're ready. Under the circumstances, I will allow Gunny to train you as well. You'll find him in the Bailey. I will send word that I've given my approval.
We can then head back over to Paladin Gunny. Can you train me to use power armor?
Heard you were coming. Yeah, I can train you, but don't ask me to like it. My initiates sweat blood, and you just get a free pass? Anyway, you ready for this? Now look, to wear power armor, first thing you need to do is relax your muscles. Let the suit do the work, okay? Now you.
You have received the specialized training needed to move in any form of power armor. All right. But if we have the Operation Anchorage DLC installed, we gain power armor training after completing it. And if we do, then we don't find an option for Elder Lyons to train us here. So we covered a whole lot there, which comprises the central theme of what we're going to learn here from the Brotherhood at the Citadel. The Brotherhood of Steel started on the West Coast. We of course met them first during the events of Fallout 1, and they played a huge role during the events of Fallout 2. But after the events of Fallout 2, the Brotherhood began sending expeditions eastward. First, during the events of Fallout Tactics, they sent an expedition to Chicago, and then they launched an expedition with Elder Lyons to reach the ruins of Washington, D.C. As we know, the goal of the Brotherhood is simply to acquire and hoard technology. By doing so, they believe that they're helping humanity. It was technology, after all, that caused the apocalypse. They don't want technology to fall into the wrong hands. If they have all technology, then it never will fall into the wrong hands. Therefore, using this logic, their presence here, even if they never actually help a human being, is still for the betterment of mankind. After seeing the pain everyday people went through due to the super mutants, Elder Lyons decided to put the people first instead of technology. He's still here for technology, but at the same time, he wants to help everyday people, which is why he was investing in Project Purity. This decision, which drained the Brotherhood's resources, caused a schism within the Brotherhood. Many people who disagreed with Elder Lyons left to form a new faction called the Brotherhood Outcasts. We met them during the events of Operation Anchorage. They're not very pleasant people, but they are more closely in tune with the West Coast Brotherhood's original philosophy and goals. We learn from the events of Fallout 4 that when Maxson became Elder of the Brotherhood of Steel here, he brought the Brotherhood back to their original purpose, which is why he was able to bring the Outcasts back into the fold. And that's why the Brotherhood who arrived in Massachusetts are so very different from the Brotherhood we see here in the Capital Wasteland. The reason Elder Lyons here said that everything changed when the Enclave arrived is because the Enclave is the Brotherhood's old enemy, the Enclave is here to hurt people, and the Enclave has technology. So now Elder Lyons' goals, and the goals of the West Coast Elders, are once again the same. By defeating the Enclave, the Brotherhood will both help people and attain new technology. That's why he said it doesn't matter now. The Enclave is everybody's enemy. The Citadel is a pretty big place, but the interiors are all connected, and even though it's a bit intimidating, it does make sense once you start exploring. The easternmost door leads back out to the Capital Wasteland. That's where we arrived. Directly next to this are two doors that lead to the A-ring of the Citadel. We have to go through the A-ring to explore the B-ring, and to the southwest we find a door to the laboratory. But we'll also find a door to the laboratory from within the A-ring. So we'll start by heading through either of these doors to the A-ring.
You're kidding me, right? 10 soldiers in devil suits, and you lose your nerve? Those Enclave troops are a joke. Huh. Yeah, I guess I hadn't thought of it like that. Thanks. I appreciate the pick-me-up. Tell you what, let's look up later and go see Scribe Rothschild. I heard he's been working on some new power armor mods. Can't hurt. All right.
On the other side, we find Sarah Lyons.
Welcome. You just managed to get yourself into all sorts of trouble, don't you? Welcome to the Citadel. Not many civilians get to see the place.
We've met her before. Remember, we first met her outside GNR. She was the Brotherhood Sentinel whose squad helped us reach Three Dog. So now that the Enclave are here, what are your thoughts?
I've read the reports, seen the initial scans, but I can hardly believe it. I figured those radio transmissions were just old recordings. Never figured the Enclave would actually show up, in the flesh. But don't worry. Whatever they try, we'll be ready for it. I'll lead the Pride to knock them out tomorrow, if my father permits it.
Care to share anything about the super mutants?
You've seen them, so you know what we know. What more is there to say? If we can figure out where they're coming from, we might be able to stop them. If not...
What can you tell me about Lyon's Pride?
It's the best of the Brotherhood, bar none. No one gets in without my say-so.
I'll be going now.
Stay strong.
So Elder Lyons' daughter, Sarah Lyons here, is a sentinel and leads an elite fighting unit called Lyon's Pride. Many of their members hang out here in A-Ring, and we'll talk with each of them. We arrive in a hallway where we find wires snaking all over the ground. Turning around, we see a door to the lab and a sign pointing to the armory to the right. And we see a sign showing us that the door we just came out of leads to the courtyard, also called the Bailey. Turning around directly east of us, we find a door to the Great Hall. Here we find Knight Captain Dusk.
Hail to you, stranger. I am Knight Captain Dusk, in service of Steel. If you require anything, simply ask.
Dusk? Oh, let me guess. Your real name's Dawn. Or is it Twilight?
Ha! Funny. Here's some free advice. You're our guest, so I'd be real careful about who you insult. That sort of thing might fly out in the wastes, but here in the Citadel, it'll earn you a few broken teeth.
Please. Like I'm afraid of you people.
See? That right there? That's the sort of shit that gets a man injured.
If we try again...
Did I stutter? Get out of my face.
I've had enough of your crap, Dusk.
Oh, really? Look, I know how you wasters are. You cap a few red scorpions and you think you can walk around like you own the fucking place. But things work differently around here. You got a problem with that? Then you go ahead and meet me in the Lion's Den after lights out. I'll solve your little problem the old-fashioned way.
Despite this threat, nothing ever comes of it.
I'm sorry. What part of "I'm done with you" didn't you understand? Leave me alone, waster.
At any time, we can try to pass a speech check to get back on her good side. You know, Dusk, I think we got off on the wrong foot.
It takes some stones to admit a mistake. Maybe you're not so bad, stranger. Tell you what, buy me a drink sometime and we'll call it even. So what do you want that's worth pissing me off over?
Or instead of mocking her name, we can be more civil. So if I need anything I can ask you, Captain Dusk, good to know.
Right to the point. I like that. What do you need?
So what's your story?
My story? I blow the head off anything more than 200 meters downrange. I'm the best shot in the Brotherhood of Steel, bar none. Not even Colvin can match my kill count. That's my story.
You mean you were the best shot? I'm here now.
Hey, wasteland humor. I like that. Got any more, funny girl?
That's impressive. Competition must be stiff around here.
Damn right it is. Last time I checked, it wasn't called the Sisterhood of Steel. Hell, even Sarah has to prove herself to the knuckle-draggers. Every once in a while, we have to show them what's what.
So what are your thoughts on the Enclave?
Honestly, I can't wait to see if one of those helmets can stop a hollow point round at 100 yards. I'm thinking, not.
Care to share anything about the super mutants?
I can tell you that those heavily armored ones, the Masters, they favor heavy weapons, miniguns and missile launchers. My recommendation? Headshot from a distance. Avoid the meat grinder.
What can you tell me about the Lion's Pride?
We're the most elite tactical unit ever assembled in the Brotherhood of Steel, here or anywhere else. Hell, ain't nothing Sarah's Cubs can't handle.
What do you do around here?
I'm a sniper with the Pride. Put any muty bastard within 1 mile of me and my rifle, and, well, pack it up, troops. Fight's over. Colvin thinks he's a better shot. Man's delusional.
I'll be going now.
Stick to the shadows.
Alright, so some friendly rivalry going on between the snipers of Lion's Pride. Opening the door beyond her, we find a kitchen and pantry with a bunch of boxed goods and a few refrigerators. A door here leads back out to the hallway. We'll swing by here in a minute, but for now let's go back out to the Great Hall to see if we can find anyone else. We find a man sitting down named Knight Captain Gallows. Oh, Gallows, that's an intimidating name.
Yes?
We can say nothing. We can continue to say nothing. And we can continue to say nothing.
I'm glad that we understand one another.
Or we can say, you don't say much, do ya?
No, I don't. What do you want?
In which case we can talk with him. So, any thoughts on the Enclave?
They're men. They're born, they live, they die. End of story.
Care to share anything about the super mutants?
Shoot them, they die. Stab them, they die. Strangle them, they die.
What can you tell me about the Lion's Pride?
Sarah appreciates my methods. I fill a role no one else can.
So, what's your specialty here in the Lion's Pride?
Spec Ops. Let's leave it at that.
Okay, I've got to go now.
And so we part.
So, Gallows is in Special Operations, and Sarah approves of his methods. I wonder what they could be. We find Sarah sitting down for a nice donut and coffee. There's lots of booze and Nuka-Cola out on a table, plenty of coffee machines. I guess coffee is what gets these Brotherhood of Steel members out the door each day. On the southern side of the Great Hall, we find another door leading to yet another pantry with even more refrigerators and food. Here we find Paladin Vargas, but remember, we talked with him back when we first met him at GNR. He was inside Galaxy News Radio when we talked with Three Dog. So, heading out from the Great Hall, we'll next explore to the south. The hallway then turns east, but we find a room here labeled Archives. Here we find a Brotherhood of Steel scribe and a couple of terminals, but we were told that we needed permission to explore these terminals from Scribe Rothschild. Now remember, our goal right now is to pick up where James left off. He learned from Dr. Braun that a Gek would likely solve his problems with Project Purity. His next step was to find a Gek. But now that James is gone, that's our next step. Madison Lee thought that we could find a terminal here that might tell us where we could find a Gek, but Elder Lyons wanted us to check in with Scribe Rothschild before going through these terminals, so we'll leave the terminals here in the archives alone for now. Directly next to the archives is the library. We'll explore this fully when we come back to read the terminals in the archives. And then across the hall, we find a bit of a supply room with a bunch of boxes, refrigerator, and pots and pans stacked up on a shelf. Heading out and passing a Nuka-Cola machine, we find that the hallway ends at big double doors that lead to the B ring of the Citadel. Great. Well, we'll explore the B ring as soon as we finish exploring the A ring. To complete exploring the A ring, we need to go back down the hallway to explore what's on the other side of the Great Hall. But along the way, we pass Knight Artemis.
What aid can I offer you, outsider?
You must see a lot of action. What's been going on?
What's been going on? Well, let's see. For years, we've been draining our resources defending the ungrateful residents of this no-man's land. Most of my best friends have either been ripped apart by super mutants or left to join the outcasts. And now an enemy we faced more than 30 years ago has resurfaced, and their tech is still better than ours. What's been going on with you?
Okay, so he's dealing with it well. Outcasts? Who were they?
I really don't want to go into it. Go bug Scribe Bowditch. He could talk a dog off a meat truck.
Oh, great. Well, I think we'll have a fun time with Bowditch. I have a few questions about the Citadel.
What do you need to find?
Can you describe the layout of the Citadel?
You are currently in A ring. Here you will find the Great Hall, the Lion's Den, and the archives. Beyond this area is B ring, quarters for the Knights, Scribes, and Elder Lyons. Outside in the Bailey are the training areas and access to the Initiates Barracks. Other than that, down those steps is the lab. Be careful around there. The scribes are touchy about who goes near their toys.
Do you have a medic?
You could say that. We have an old robo-doc. He's a bit creepy, but he does the job. You'll find him in B ring.
Okay, how is he creepy? I guess we'll find out. I need supplies. Who should I see about that?
Well, any one of us would see Knight Captain Durga down in the lab, but since you're an outsider, you'll need permission from Elder Lyons.
Durga. Permission. Got it. So, any thoughts on the Enclave?
As if we didn't have enough to worry about. Their weapons are better. Their power armor is better. Is their training better? We'll see.
Care to share anything about the super mutants?
You know how many uglies I've killed? More than all of Lyon's pride combined. That's how many. All it takes is a loaded weapon and the will to use it. Oh, and a good way to get ugly blood out of your armor. Little bit of Abraxo and some water. Works like a charm.
Okay, I'll be leaving now.
Of course.
Well, good to learn that Abraxo Cleaner still works after all these years. But if the Enclave's weapons and armor and technology are all better than the Brotherhood of Steel's, where have they been for the past 30 years? On the other side of the Great Hall, the hallway then turns east, and we find a door leading to the Den. This is like a combination rec room and barracks for Lion's Pride. It's the Lion's Den, get it? Aha. Sitting down at a table here, we find a man with a Gatling laser named Paladin Glade.
Glad to see you and that egghead Lee made it here in one piece. I heard what happened to that purifier. Hell of a thing.
Hey, what's the story with Gallows? He didn't really want to talk to me.
Oh man, there's something wrong with that boy. Ain't nobody around here that even knows his real name. We got a betting pool in the Pride. Whole pot goes to the first person who can find out his real name.
A betting pool, eh? I'd love a stake in that. We now start an unmarked quest to learn Gallows' real name. If we talk to Glade about it without having learned it yet.
You figure out his name yet? Yeah, I thought not.
So looks like we'll just have to come back. So any thoughts on the Enclave?
Man, I don't know. Fighting uglies is one thing, but we've never gone up against anyone that well trained or organized. Even their tech is better. Don't get me wrong. The Pride's in it to win it, and I'll go down shooting if I have to. I just hope I don't have to.
In it to win it. Love the attitude. Care to share anything about the super mutants?
Man, nothing dies like an ugly. I once saw Colvin snipe the leg off one at 200 yards. Thing pirouetted like a figure skater.
Wow, lots of talk here about Colvin. Really must be a good shot. What can you tell me about Lion's Pride?
You, my friend, are talking about the most elite fighting force ever assembled within the Brotherhood of Steel. Each of us was handpicked by Sentinel Lyons herself. You can't even realize what an honor that is. Sarah defines combat excellence.
So what's your job in Lion's Pride?
Me? Heavy weapons, miniguns, missile launchers. If it's bigger than a human and goes boom, I'm all over it.
I'll be going now.
Of course.
Just then, a fellow without a helmet walks by. This is Paladin Kodiak.
Hail. Name's Greg. Greg Bear. Most of the guys just call me Kodiak. Heard about that mess over at the Purifier. Don't you worry. You're safe here.
What's with that Gallows guy?
Gallows? He's not a bad guy, truth be told. He just doesn't talk much. And if it ain't soldiering, that boy has no time for it. Tell you what, though. He's the meanest son of a bitch around here. All business. The rest of us, we get our R&R in. Not Gallows. There's even a betting pool on who can find out his real name. Talk to Glade about it. He'll tell you.
Looks like Kodiak here doesn't have a guess as to Gallows' name. Hey, how did you end up in the Brotherhood?
Now that's a story. The only reason I'm here is because of Elder Lyons. You see, I grew up in the pit. Don't suppose you ever been there, huh? It's about 500 clicks to the northwest. Place is a nightmare. 3 irradiated rivers coming together. People there were not well. But the Brotherhood of Steel came down on the place with a righteous hammer. They called it the Scourge.
Ha! Sounds like a nice place. You should go back.
Now see, that was just rude. Fine, no story for you.
And if we try to talk to him after that...
Oh, now you want story time? Sorry, I'm not having it.
Or we can say, what was the Scourge?
It was a Brotherhood operation. They marched in and swept the place clean. Most of the people there were half-mutated, cancerous, vile things. And these people, rape gangs, torture squads, it was pure chaos there. The Scourge is the best thing that could have happened to it. This was way back, before the Citadel was fortified. Part of the early recon after the Brotherhood first arrived in this area. One night, a squad of brothers led by Paladin Lyons swept into the city from over Mount Wash, tearing apart anyone who stood against them. They were completely outnumbered, and still they razed that place to the ground.
How did you escape?
As they swept through, the Brotherhood policed up every non-mutie child they could find. Turns out there weren't that many. Me and maybe 20 others. The younger we were, the less of a chance that we were mutated. It was ugly work, no doubt, but it had to be done. I'll never forget the sight of the Brotherhood of Steel breaching the breast of the mountain at dawn.
What made the pit so terrible?
The rivers. Even after the war, they were still flowing, but irradiated and filled with God knows what else. I saw things there I can't even begin to describe. I was only, 8 years old when I left? Hell of a thing for a kid to go through.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. Are you still talking?
Hey, you wanted to hear it.
That's awful. How could the Brotherhood do that?
Normally, that would get you a crack across the jaw. But since you didn't know what the pit was like, I'll let it go. I still have nightmares about the place. 30 years and how many horrors later, and the pit is still the worst thing I've ever seen. It was ugly work, sure. Questionably moral? No doubt. But there was no other choice. That city had to go.
What happened to the other kids from the pit?
All of them became initiates. Most of them went on to become brothers. A lot fell in action. I'm the only survivor of the Scourge of the Pit, still stationed at the Citadel.
What happened to your parents?
Hell if I know. I never knew them. I lived on the street and fought with rats for food.
How did you end up back here?
Elder Lyons brought us all back to the Citadel. He said it was the safest place he knew of. This place was still being converted. He put us in as initiates and kept a watchful eye over us. He was tough, but he taught us to stay alive. The man's like a father to me.
Oh, you're done? Sorry, I nodded off there.
You think that's funny? Elder Lyons is a great man who risked a lot for the wastes. If I hear you disrespect him or me like that again, we're going to have words.
That's pretty amazing, Kodiak.
Nah. The amazing thing is Elder Lyons. He risked everything. Went in outmanned and outgunned. I'll never be able to thank him enough. So I do my best to serve the Brotherhood. I know that's what he really wants. In time, I'm sure you'll understand.
So, any thoughts on the Enclave?
There's meat under that armor, and meat can be ground.
Care to share anything about the super mutants?
Hell, I've killed more of those yellow Frankensteins than any other member of the Pride. Except maybe Gallows, those crazy solo night ops of his.
What can you tell me about Lyon's Pride?
I see the Brotherhood's one thing, but the Pride, best of the best. Every damn one of us. Handpicked by Sentinel Lyons herself.
What's your combat specialization in Lyon's Pride?
Hell, I do it all. Recon, demolition, tactical assault. Guess you could say I'm the Pride's jack of all trades.
I gotta go now.
Never back down.
We met Paladin Kodiak's brothers during the events of the Pit DLC. Brothers he likely doesn't even know are still alive. I covered the entire Pit DLC, where we get to explore the horrible place Kodiak was born, in a separate complete series that you can watch here. On a table nearby, we find some Brotherhood of Steel holotags. We can steal these to hand them in for a reward if we want. And on a table here, we find a terminal. But when we access it, error, network connection not found. Dummy terminal inactive. Oh, there's nothing here. Out of the terminal and turning left, we find the Lyons Pride Barracks. Lots of lockers and plenty of beds, but no one's sleeping there right now. After learning about the bet, we can go back to Knight Captain Dusk.
Each day we make it to the end's a good one, huh? What do you need?
And ask, what do you think about Gallows?
I don't trust him. I know. I should take faith in my brother. But he disappears for days out into the wastes. He comes back without a word. He only reports to Sentinel Lyons, and he doesn't tell the rest of us what he's up to. I can't trust a soldier like that. The other guys, they think it's a joke. Glade's even got a betting pool going to find out Gallows' real name. A betting pool, honestly.
So no clue on his real name there. But maybe if we ask Gallows himself. So what's your real name?
What's the pool up to now, anyway? Nice try, though.
Can't we work something out? Maybe share the winnings?
No, we can't.
Or we can pass a speech check. And this is one of the most difficult speech checks in the entire game. But if our skill is high enough, we can say, come on, it'll really throw those guys for a loop if you tell me.
Fine. I'm tired of this game. Irving. My name's Irving. There. Go collect your money. Maybe now they'll leave me alone about it.
Irving? Well, all right. With the name in hand, we can track down the guy who's holding the pool.
Good to see you in one piece, partner. What can I do for you?
I know Gallows' real name.
Really? You're kidding me. What is it?
On second thought, I think I'll keep it to myself.
Ha! It's not like he'd tell you anyway.
And he doesn't believe us. Or we can say, you never told me what I'd win.
Ha! Good point. The pool is up to about 1,000 caps these days. Now, come on. What's his name?
It's Irving.
Irving? Are you serious? Oh, man. Wait until the other guys hear this. Irving! Here's the pool. You earned it.
Because Irving is such a funny name, I guess. And with that, he gives us 1,000 bottle caps. Poor Irving. He should have kept it to himself. Heading out of the Lion's Den and turning left down the hallway, we find that door to the right back to the pantry of the Great Hall, and another door at the end leading to the Citadel B Ring. With the A ring explored, we'll head to the B ring. We arrive in another hallway. To the right, we find a door to the barracks, and to the left, we find the hospital, with a Mr. Gutsy here named Sawbones.
Please state the nature of the medical emergency.
Initiate triage protocol.
Medical procedures initiated. Administering Error!
Sawbones has damaged you. What? He has the same response to both of these options, so we'll say, ouch, that hurt. What the hell?
There has been an error in the medical subsystem. Please run a level 2 diagnostic.
If we try to initiate the triage protocol again, he hurts us again. Annoyingly, he has the same response we've already heard to all of these options, with the exception of passing a science check to run a level 2 diagnostic on the medical subsystems. If we do...
Command accepted. Beginning level 2 systems diagnostic. Please stand by. Diagnostic complete. Results indicate a level 7 degradation in neural pathway 0x63A82. No further information available.
What is that pathway responsible for?
Neural Pathway 0x63A82 governs the motor control interface, bridging the main medical software and the unit's manipulator arms. The current damage level would cause erratic behavior, potentially forcing the unit to behave outside of design parameters.
Say, could I reprogram you to kill people?
Negative. The Mr. Gutsy field medic model is incapable of harming human beings through intentional action.
Or we can close neural pathway 0 times 63A82 and reroute remaining functions.
Neural pathway 0x63A82 rerouted through neural pathway 0x374E82. Stand by. Full motor functions restored. Diagnostic reveals no critical failures. Asshole.
What? That's not nice. But now when we initiate the triage protocol...
Medical procedures initiated. Administering treatment. Please stand still.
It fades to black, and he heals us.
Medical procedure complete. Further instructions?
I'm done for now.
Unit deactivating. This troop is hitting the rack.
Well, that's why the other guy said that he was a little creepy. He couldn't actually heal them. Good thing the lone wanderer showed up to fix the Brotherhood's main medic robot in their headquarters. Wonder how they survived all this time without him. We see a lot of medical equipment back here, and one terminal, the Citadel Medical Terminal, locked with a very hard lock. If we hack it, we lose karma, but we actually find something here. Hey Sawbones, you dumb son of a gun. This is Glade. I hacked your terminal again. Now change your password before I delete all of your stupid robot poetry. Tongue sticky out face. Oh great, robot poetry. It's like Ode to Spot all over again. In the first one, Casualty Report, we find a list of Brotherhood of Steel soldiers who have died. Paladin Blanchett, honorable death in combat. Paladin Redden, honorable death in combat. We watched Redden's death. She was a member of Lyons Pride, a new inductee, killed by the super mutant behemoth at GNR.
Take cover! Behemoth! It's not your fault, Vargas. Redden was good enough for the Pride, and she proved it here today.
Yeah, I know. God damn it!
Paladin Stein, missing in action, presumed dead, honorable death in combat. Paladin Sawagachi, honorable death in combat. Knight Casserly, honorable death in combat. Knight Arturo, suicide. Knight Ianelli, honorable death in combat. Knight Connard, honorable death in combat. Knight Patriarchus, missing in action, presumed dead, honorable death in combat. Knight Verona, missing in action, presumed dead, honorable death in combat. Knight Ruo, honorable death. Initiate Quintana, missing in action, presumed dead. Initiate Porter, honorable death. Initiate Loring, training accident. Investigation pending. Oh geez, a training death. Initiate Jennings, honorable death in combat. Strange that we don't see Asher's name here. After all, he went missing in combat over Pittsburgh. But perhaps this is just a list from the last year or so. In the next one, notes on Pendleton appendectomy. Rotary saw was effective, but suturing of incision proved ineffective. High-intensity heat cauterization proved successful. Operation outcome success. Patient pain/discomfort level irrelevant. Of course. Probability of future procedure 100%. Oh, so he cut open the guy with a rotary saw to remove the appendix, but didn't suture it back up and instead cauterized the wound with a laser. Fine surgeon, Brotherhood. And in the next one, hovering contemplatively, a poem. Brotherhood of Steel blood is red, ionic, medical pulse beams are blue. Steel is better than flesh and artificial. Intelligent subprocessors are too. Wow, almost as good as Commander Data's. Finally, we can override the medical storage lock, which gives us access to a nearby wall-mounted medical safe with a bunch of medicine inside. Heading out and crossing the hall, we can open the door to the barracks. Here we find many of the knights sleeping, and next to each one, we find a Citadel personnel terminal. Examining the terminal to the east, above a desk with a hunting rifle on it, we find 5 entries, many of which we'll find on other terminals throughout the Citadel, so we'll read them once here. In the first, Enclave Tactical Assessment, weapons, plasma-based, capable of molecular destabilization, armor, Advanced Power Armor Mark II. So it really is the same power armor the Enclave wore during the events of Fallout 2. Transportation, vertibirds. Tactical assessment. The Enclave forces that have occupied Project Purity are nearly identical to those encountered on the West Coast in the year 2241. These are the events of Fallout 2. Threat potential, severe. In the next one, GNR Battle After Action Report. It is the opinion of Sentinel Lyons that the recent supermutant attack on GNR was not indicative of a larger assault, as was originally thought. Instead, the forces that attacked the radio station were probably en route to the mall to reinforce their own kind in a prolonged battle against the mercenaries of Talon Company. Well, we did see the mutants and the Talon Company fighting fiercely during my video on the Capitol building. Strange that a mercenary group would go out of their way to try and attack the super mutants, though it could be that they were hired to do so by salvagers. At any rate, in the next one, General Robot Diagnostics updated. Scribe Rothschild has completed a new full diagnostic of the robot. Here are those results. Mobility 0%, navigation translation 0%, internal processors 87%, weapon systems 60%, power management 3%, voice module 100%. It is the assessment of Scribe Rothschild that once the power management issues are solved, mobility and navigation translation will jump to at least 50%, well within acceptable operating capacity. Well, wait a minute. The Mr. Gutsy we just repaired had great mobility and was hovering around. Is this the same robot? If not, what robot is Rothschild talking about? In the next one, GNR soldier rotation. Due to the increased supermutant activity in the vicinity of GNR and the importance of that outpost, all knights and paladins can expect to be added to the patrol rotation in that area. See your squad leaders for more information. That outpost is important because that's where Three Dog broadcasts from. Three Dog has become a useful source of propaganda, sending positive messages to the wasteland about the Brotherhood of Steel. And in the final one, notice Redden funeral canceled. Due to certain unexpected tactical developments, funeral services for Initiate Redden have been canceled. A memorial service will be scheduled sometime in the future. Date to be determined. I believe these tactical developments must be the appearance of the Enclave. Turning around, we can explore the next terminal. It has some of the same entries we've already read, but a few new ones. Important, Squire Maxon Bailey access. By order of Elder Lyons, Squire Maxon is not to be given unsupervised access to the Bailey while live fire practice is in effect. Squire Maxon? They have squires here? And in the next one, Lyons Pride recruiting. Due to the tragic death of Paladin Redden, Lyons Pride now has one opening, effective immediately. If you can't shoot an ugly from 150 yards blindfolded, don't waste my time. Sentinel Lyons. But the rest of the terminals here in the barracks all have these same terminal entries, nothing new. So when done exploring, we can leave the barracks out the door to the south. This brings us to a hallway on the other side of the B ring, where we overhear a conversation.
So what's the latest report?
Enclave troops have fortified the Purifier complex. With those vertibirds, they're able to transport personnel at a remarkable rate.
See you.
A young boy. This is Squire Maxon.
Hail to you, stranger. I am Squire Maxon, loyal servant of steel. It is an honor to make your acquaintance.
Relax, Squire. I don't bite.
I plead for your pardon if my behavior offends, ma'am. We don't get many visitors in the Citadel. The brothers and elder Lyons are excellent teachers, but I get nervous about the protocols. The Codex says that outsiders are not to be trusted. Shield yourself from those not bound to you by steel, for they are the blind. Aid them when you can, but lose not sight of yourself, it says.
Understandable. I've met a lot of dangerous people myself.
It's not simply the outsiders that we are wary of. Anybody who has not taken the oath of fraternity is suspicious to us. The Codex says, fear those who do not pledge to the Brotherhood, for though their eyes may be open through service, they are now blind. But it also tells us, give way your suspicions to the wisdom of thine elder. Where he shows trust, so shall you. Elder Lyons trust you, so you are free to stay here.
You seem nervous, kid. Do I make you nervous?
Well, yes, sir. If I may speak my will, you do, sort of. We do not have many guests in the Citadel. And when we do, they're usually visiting brothers. Outsiders are not to be trusted, so says the Codex.
There's no need to be nervous. You can trust me.
It's not personal. Anybody who has not taken the oath of fraternity is suspicious to us.
Good. Your fear pleases me.
I mean,
You should be nervous. Who says that I'm not here to kill you all?
I don't... If Elder Lyons chooses to show trust in you, then by the oath, I must trust you as well.
The honor is all mine, Squire.
Oh, well, thank you. Your words are very kind. Kinder than those I usually hear. Is there something I can help you with?
Aren't you a little young for all of this?
Oh, well, you see, I am descended from the great Roger Maxson, founder of our order. I am the last of his line. They say my soul was forged from eternal steel, but I don't believe that. I'm really just a normal boy. I was sent to the Citadel many years ago to be fostered by Elder Lyons, but that was before the Western Elders lost faith in the Elder. I really don't know if I'll ever get home, but, well, I kind of like it here. Sentinel Lyons has been very kind to me. She's taught me so much.
So he's descended from the original founder of the Brotherhood of Steel, Roger Maxson, whose holotape messages we found at the Mariposa military base during the events of Fallout 1, whose voice we heard on satellite holotape recordings during the events of Fallout 76. What do you make of the Enclave, Squire?
You're asking me what I think about the Enclave? Well, the Brotherhood of Steel has actually faced the Enclave before, back west, more than 30 years ago, according to our chronicles. Judging from those records, I say their soldiers are outfitted in advanced power armor Mark II. It's pretty strong. Better than our power armor. And some of their technology is amazing. Vertibirds, plasma weapons that can turn a man to goo. Does that help?
I don't suppose you know anything about the super mutants.
Oh yes. I've studied them quite a bit since I've been here. They're not all the same, you know. Besides the regular ones. There are also brutes. And after them, the masters. They're really tough. But the worst of all? The behemoth. He's a giant. I saw one once, outside the Citadel walls. So scary. The super mutants are all over the city ruins. But Elder Lyons doesn't actually think they're from there, or we would have found their home by now. It kind of seems like they're looking for something, but we're not really sure what that is.
They don't actually make you fight, do they?
No. But I could. I know I'm ready. I mean, it would be scary, but it's not fair that I have to sit inside while the knights go on patrol. I did go out one time, you know. Sarah, Sentinel Lyons took me out, just to show me. I killed a super mutant too, I swear. I also sort of shot Sarah, but just a little. It was just a flesh wound.
Poor kid. He sounds awfully fond of Sarah. Well, I gotta go now, Squire.
May we speak again soon.
Squire Maxon is, of course, the very same Elder Maxon whom we meet during the events of Fallout 4. This is Elder Maxon as a child. He grew up here in the Citadel under Elder Lyons. Turning around, we can explore the first room across the hall from the barracks. This is another barracks, with 3 more beds and another terminal that has all the same entries as the others. But as we're about to leave, here we finally find Knight Captain Colvin.
What aid can I offer you, outsider?
The renowned Lion's Pride sniper. But he doesn't have anything to say, which is a bit disappointing. Because the Fallout 3 official strategy guide makes him sound really interesting. He's a religious guy who treats his rifle as a holy object. He considers himself a tool of God's wrath, though he does say a prayer for the soul of every mutant that he kills. The only dialogue he has in the game, though, is during a scripted event later in the game, and combat dialogue. We find doors here that lead back to the A-Ring. This leads to the hallway where we found the library and the archives, but to finish exploring the B-Ring, we can turn east to explore this southern room, but this is just another barracks with a terminal that has all the same information. We find a room through a doorway here, but it's completely filled in with rubble. So back out to the hallway, we can turn north, then explore the room immediately to the right. It must be an officer's room. It's private, only 1 bunk. We actually see a poster on the wall here, but the terminal has all the same stuff we've already read. Back out to the hallway, and continuing north, we find a heavily guarded room to the right called the Solar. Inside we see a parlor with a number of couches and decorations. There's an empty dresser here with another terminal that has all the same entries we've already read. And turning around, we find a large private bedroom. And it's really Spartan. All of the dressers and containers and trunks are empty. We do find 1 combat knife and some scotch on a table. And there's a holotape on a table next to the trunk. Elder Owen Lyons, personal log number 1. So this is Elder Lyons' room. Listening to it from our Pip-Boy.
According to our latest reconnaissance report, Enclave soldiers have taken complete control of the Project Purity facility. They brutally murdered innocent scientists, including James. He went there to revive the project and died for his efforts. They will answer for their crimes. I haven't worked so hard just to sit idly by and watch the Enclave undo what little we've accomplished here.
So he must have recorded this while we were sleeping last night. Good to learn that Owen here is as horrified by our father's death as we are. He has a very hard-locked terminal on his desk, and we lose karma by hacking it. But it's worth it. Inside, we find a bunch of interesting stuff. In the first, Squire Maxson's progress report. Squire Maxson's training is proceeding well, and the boy certainly has an aptitude for small arms, but I often worry about his emotional state. He is a child surrounded by my killers, being groomed to become a killer himself. Maybe I've become too cynical, too soft in my old age, but I wish I could give the boy a more normal childhood. Ironic, considering his upbringing is so much like my own. Maybe that's what scares me. Oh, wow. Elder Lyon's foresight here is on point. He had good reason to be scared. In the next one, Sarah's birthday. I mustn't forget Sarah's birthday this year. Perhaps I'll send Cross to Rivet City to peruse the shops and pick something up. Something pretty. Sarah may have forgotten that she's a woman, but I haven't. And neither have the rest of the brothers, judging by the looks they give her. So he planned to send Cross on this mission. Who's Cross? We'll see if we can bump into this Cross later. At the bottom we find Safe Lock Override, and this unlocks a wall safe by his bed. Inside we find 300 bottle caps, his personal log part 2, some energy cells, and a unique laser weapon, Smuggler's End. Listening to the holotape first.
Here I sit in the safety of the Citadel, while the people of the wasteland thirst and suffer and die. Here I sit a failed, feeble old man. What have I really accomplished? How many have I truly helped? The super mutants still roam rampant. The people still die of thirst and radiation. The Western elders cease to acknowledge my existence. Some of my own people have even gone outcast. And now the Enclave, technologically superior, infinitely resourceful. The time has come to pass the mantle to more able hands. But is she ready?
Wow. Where has this man's confidence gone? I mean, I know it's a private holotape, and if there's ever a place to complain, it's in the privacy of your own room. This poor guy, so distraught over his own life choices. Sounds like it is his intention to hand the eldership over to his daughter when the time is right. But of course we learn from the events of Fallout 4 that never happens. Examining his weapon in our inventory, we see that before perks are considered, it has a base damage per attack of 18, and it only fires one projectile. That brings its DPS up to 108, or 143.4 with all damage-related perks considered. If we factor in the time it takes to reload this weapon, the DPS drops all the way down to 67.5, 89.6 with all damage perks considered. These stats make it one of the best laser pistols in the game. In fact, there's only one that's better, but we only get it if we don't have the Broken Steel DLC installed. The Broken Steel DLC overwrites Colonel Autumn's laser pistol with a different version. The original vanilla version of his laser pistol fired 12 shots per second. This was reduced by half with Broken Steel installed. The pre-DLC version of Colonel Autumn's pistol had a DPS of 20, but with the Broken Steel DLC installed, it has the same DPS as Smuggler's End here. Indeed, Colonel Autumn's laser pistol from Broken Steel is virtually identical, stats-wise, to Smuggler's End, with the only difference being that Smuggler's End weighs 1 pound less. The reason it has such a high DPS is because, outside of Vats at least, we can fire it nearly twice as fast as a standard laser pistol. So it's a pretty decent option, but just sad we have to steal it from the leader of the Brotherhood of Steel. Heading out of Elder Lyon's room, we can continue by going north down the hallway. Here we find one more bedroom to the right. This is Squire Maxson's room, and on his desk we find a very easy locked terminal. After hacking it and losing karma, we find 5 options. Hi Squire Maxson, how's the best kid in the Citadel doing today? In the first diary entry number 1, stupid Scribe Rothschild in his stupid lab. All I wanted to do was talk to the robot and see if he'd be my friend. So what if he can't walk? Oh, poor kid. But hey, that means there's another robot, and he's in the lab. Let's see if we can find him. In diary entry number 2, yesterday Sarah taught me how to kill a man by stabbing him in the kidneys. I think I'm in love. So he does have a crush on Sarah. Of course, this becomes much more disturbing when we recall the kind of man he turned into, and how much he likes his knives. In the next one, we find a copy of the story, The Guardians of Gillifrond. This is the exact same children's story that we discovered in Megaton. You'd think they'd have more than one kid's story in the Capital Wasteland. I read it in detail, complete with fun voices, in my video on Megaton that you can watch here, so I'll skip it for now. And then directly below this is another copy of the poem Song of the Light Man. Light Man. Ah. No, all right, I won't do it again. I covered this as well in my video on Megaton, so I won't read it here. And in the final one, Guns and Bullets, Vargas doesn't know I've been reading his copy of Guns and Bullets, and I should probably keep it that way. I mean, when it's right there under his bunk in the den, what did he expect? Oh, so we missed a copy of Guns and Bullets? And here I thought I was observant. All right, well, we'll have to head back to the den to see if we can find it.
Hey, let me ask you something. What's on your mind? I heard Elder Lyons talking to Rothschild. Sounds like even he's worried about the Enclave. Think I'm just being paranoid? Scribe Peabody was telling me about those Enclave plasma weapons. You know they can turn a man to goo. How the hell do you defend against that? Pretty dire, huh? Yeah, thanks for completely ruining my day. Tell you what, let's look up later and go see Scribe Bottage. I heard he's been working on some new power armor mods. Can't hurt. Roger that.
Heading out and continuing north, we round to the other side of the barracks. Here we find Sawbones' lab and another barracks. And the terminals here have all the same entries we've read already. So that completes the B ring, and there's no way out but to go back through to the A ring. Heading to the A ring, we can sneak inside the den to see if we can find that copy of Guns and Bullets. Inspecting under each and every bed, we finally find it lying on the ground underneath the foot of the last bed to the south against the wall. But of course we have to steal it, which means we lose karma. Since we need permission from Scribe Rothschild before we go to the library, let's head to the lab. We just learned from Maxson's terminal that that's where he likes to hang out.
Does this sound noble enough? Wail before me, foul super mutant. Thine end is at hand. Yield, that I may ease thine suffering. What are you doing? I've been practicing. Come on, we're a knightly order, right? I figure we should speak the part. I want to sound like Elder Lyons.
Elder Lyons does not sound like that. You're an idiot.
Fine, I'll practice on someone else. Thanks for nothing.
Oh, anytime.
As we're about to head that way, we see Star Paladin Cross walk by. Cross? Oh, this must be the soldier that Lyons wanted to send to Rivet City to buy something nice for Sarah. Heading downstairs, we can try to intercept this Star Paladin Cross.
Hail to you. By the traction of hospitality and on the word of Elder Lyons, I welcome you to the Citadel. I am Star Paladin Cross, Keeper of the Arm, and Seneschal to Elder Lyons. And I am honored to say I was acquainted with your father. Now, what may I do to help you?
Okay, all these medieval titles are starting to get ridiculous. But wait a minute. Did you say you knew my father?
I did, and you as well. Long ago, I helped guard the water purifier against the super mutant horde. When your father left, I escorted the two of you to Megaton. He was a noble man. I was saddened to hear of his passing. But from what I've heard, he died with honor. He died for you. I only pray that my own death has such meaning.
So Star Paladin Cross was the, quote, Brotherhood of Steel friend that Moriarty told us about when James brought us to Megaton the first time.
That's right. Your father, his Brotherhood of Steel friend. And you, the suckling babe with nary a tit to suckle.
Wow, everything is coming full circle. We get to meet her as an adult. We find a number of ways to respond. He died as he lived. A selfish asshole.
Then you did not know the man. I knew your father. I knew his goodness. And I will not have you sully the memory of a noble man. Go now. I have nothing more to say to you.
But Paladin...
We've said all that we have to say to one another. I will not have James disgraced by anyone, including his ungrateful child. Now get out of my sight.
Wow, and that locks us out of her dialogue forever. Okay, so instead of being rude to Star Paladin Cross, we can say, why does it matter how a man dies? Death is death.
True. And in the end, death claims us all. But how we die can say just as much about our lives as how we lived. Your father died for what he knew to be right, and he died protecting those closest to him. This is a good man's death.
Or we can say, I loved him so much, I'll never forget him.
And so our deeds are carried on through our sons and our daughters. Continue to remember him fondly, continue to tell his story, and continue to do his work. Through you, he shall carry on. But now I must ask you a difficult question, if I have your leave to do so.
I don't suppose I could stop you.
Right. Much like James was. I escorted your father across the wastes. It was the best I could contribute to his efforts to restore fresh water to the people. I would like the honor of escorting you in your journey to complete his work.
What about the Enclave?
As a Star Paladin, I answer only to Elder Lyons. He has given me leave to pursue the restoration of Project Purity as I see fit. By aiding you in your travels, I shall fulfill that mission as best I am capable.
I would be honored, Star Paladin Cross.
Then I shall follow your leave and submit to your command. As James's child, I know I don't need to explain, but I am not your servant. If I do not like the path your actions take, I will return here. Now, let us go forward, crush the Enclave, and fulfill your father's mission.
And you'll notice here that she didn't tell me that I had to get rid of my current companion.
There is a foul stench on the wind. Let us not tarry for long.
Sharon is standing right there. And talking with him, we confirm that he's still a companion. This is a little-known quirk of Fallout 3. It's possible to get both Star Paladin Cross and Sharon as companions simultaneously in Fallout 3 without using any mods if during this conversation with Star Paladin Cross, we have Sharon as a companion, and when she asks us if she can ask us a question, we respond wryly by saying, I don't suppose I can stop you. If instead we said, I want you to come with me, she says,
I escorted your father across the wastes. It was the best I could contribute to his efforts to restore fresh water to the people. I would like to have the honor of escorting you in your journey to complete his work. But there is a problem. I cannot travel with you under the Brotherhood flag, given your current companionship. Perhaps return when you are alone, and I will tell you of your father.
And with that, she correctly performs the other companion check. However, from what I've read, if we ever dismiss her or Sharon after gaining them both as simultaneous companions, the next time we try to recruit them, they will again correctly perform the multiple companion check. So this one moment is the only opportunity we have to get both as companions. And she only joins if we have good karma. Just then, Scribe Bowditch walks down the stairs.
Oh, yes, hello, I've heard about you. We don't get many strangers here in the Citadel, especially those who walk about unescorted. I am Scribe Bowditch. If you require something, simply ask.
Tell me about the outcasts.
It's a rather sad story, I'm afraid. Last year, some of our soldiers had grave disagreements with the decisions of Elder Lyons. Disagreements spiraled out of control, and there was a schism in the ranks. The loyal soldiers practically threw out the dissenters. Now they call themselves the Outcasts.
What sort of disagreements did they have?
Where Elder Lyons has fought to protect the people of the capital wasteland, the Outcasts demanded we move on and leave them to their fates. They insisted there was more important technology to be recovered in a scientific base in the ruins of Fort Independence to the west. As callous as their decision may be, it's more in line with our original mission. Elder Lyons is an inspiration to us, but to them, He's a traitor.
Who were the exiles?
The soldiers rallied behind Paladin Vargas, who was one of Elder Lyons' original squad. They served together for over 20 years. Vargas was well respected and every bit as loyal to the Brotherhood as Elder Lyons. He just disagreed with the interpretations of our oaths. But when disagreements turned into fistfights, he left with the outcasts. We lost more allies that day than we ever have to any battle.
Well, good riddance to them. If you waver in your oaths, you get punished.
You sound like some of the hardliners. We all served together for years, but now some of the soldiers hate them as much as the super mutants.
If so many people agreed with them, maybe he has a good point.
Well, that's the thing, really. Kasdan's technology-first sort of attitude is more traditional in the Brotherhood that always used to operate out west. But somewhere along the way, from there to here, Elder Lyons made sure we watched out for the people, not just the technology. To some of us, that was noble. I guess to Kasdan and his crew, it was just soft. I wish they could see some sort of middle ground.
It sounds like it was quite a loss. Is there any way to reconcile them?
Lyons and Kasdan would have to agree to any sort of reconciliation, and that's pretty unlikely. They're both quite proud and stubborn. Me, I just wish there was a way we could all agree that at least we're still on the same side. There are bigger problems out there after all.
What are you going to do about them?
As much as some of our soldiers would like to see them shot for deserting, there's not much we can do. We're too busy with the super mutants. Meanwhile, they're busy seeking out new technology and trying to get back in contact with the Brotherhood out west. So our paths rarely cross, but it's never pretty when they do. I just hope things cool down before it gets worse.
Enough about the outcasts.
It is a rather discouraging subject, isn't it?
What do you scribes do?
Why, a great many things. There are 3 orders within the scribes, you see, each dedicated to a different field of study.
Could you name the orders?
Of course. There's the Order of the Sword, Order of the Shield, and Order of the Quill. The Order of the Sword develops and maintains the Brotherhood's weapons. The Order of the Shield does the same for our power armor and defenses. The Order of the Quill is responsible for recovering and preserving knowledge, ancient and otherwise.
Which order do you serve, Squire Bowditch?
I am Proctor of the Order of the Shield. I oversee the others in my order and make sure our defenses are up to snuff. Do you know how long it took to fortify these ruins? From the husk of the Pentagon, I carved a grand citadel. No easy task, my friend. But that was yesterday, when all we had to worry about was those damn super mutants. The Enclave, now, that's a different problem altogether.
So, any thoughts on the Enclave?
They're sporting some pretty impressive power armor, I'll give them that. The Advanced Mark II. But that's all right. With a few modifications, our own armor will more than handle anything they throw at it.
Care to share anything about the super mutants?
They're relentless, like nothing I've ever seen before. I honestly think they see our brothers in power armor as some kind of canned meal. Some of the pieces we've had brought back, men and women ripped in half, some pulled through their armor. Just horrible.
Could you repair my equipment?
I suppose that I can. The Brotherhood can make use of wasteland currency to trade.
But Squire Bowditch here only has a repair skill of 50. That's less than Moira Brown's 54. Can you tell me more about the Brotherhood of Steel?
Oh, yes, I can. In fact, I suspect I could write several texts on the various details of the Brotherhood. But I suspect you're in a hurry, so what particulars would you like to know?
What are the central beliefs of the Brotherhood?
I'm afraid the answer to that is a lot more nuanced than others might suggest. Brotherhood members are sworn to acquire and protect technology of the past, but not everyone interprets these oaths in the same way. Elder Lyons sees these duties as part of a larger dedication to protect the innocent. Some, like the outcasts, disagree with these priorities.
What have been the highlights of your time with the Brotherhood?
I like to think that I've still got some big achievements left in me, although some of my joints seem to disagree these days. I'll tell you what the lowlights of my time have been, though. Every time I've been shot at. I'm a scribe, not a soldier.
What's the biggest challenge the Brotherhood has ever faced?
It seems like whichever challenge we're facing is always the biggest one. Survival at first, then expansion, and now cohesion. We've seen plenty of wasteland freaks or would-be dictators. They're not too bad, at least we've faced that sort of thing before. But more recent events, like the schism with the outcasts, those are the problems that worry me.
I have to go now.
Back to work.
These scribes are really founts of information. Well, with Sharon and our new companion Star Paladin Cross in tow, we can head down the stairs to the lab. We arrive at the top level of a large workshop. There are catwalks and gantries crisscrossing the place. We'll start by turning right. Here we find a Citadel lab terminal, and it has some unique options. In the first one, AVF problem, recent experiments with accelerated vector fusion have not gone according to plan. All scribes assigned to the lab should check with Scribe Rothschild on a daily basis and obtain any modified technical parameters as needed. In the next one, warning leaky hydraulics, it's come to our attention that several scribes have slipped on hydraulic fluid near the eastern end of the robot lift. Until the offending pipes can be mended completely, please use caution in that area. These two are the only new entries on this terminal. Right next to this terminal is a door that leads to the smithy. Inside we find a suit of T-45D power armor lying on a table. There's a workbench here and a terminal on the northern side of this center table, but there's nothing in the terminal. Backing out of this room, we can head to the other side of this top level to finish exploring it. All we find is a pathway leading back out to the courtyard, or the bailey, to the west. So with the top floor explored, we can head downstairs. And on this mid-level gantry, whoa, we see it! The robot! What is the Brotherhood of Steel doing with a huge robot in the middle of their lab? Heading down to the bottom floor, we can get a better look, and it is quite intimidating. What is this robot's story? Well, to find out, we can read the Liberty Prime Operations Terminal right in front of the robot. Citadel System Link 39L welcomes Scribe Rothschild. In the first one, Historical Records, we find 3 pre-war entries. In the first, Project Summary, Classified Eyes Only. Military Contract 38917, codename Liberty Prime. Project goal, no less than the creation of the most powerful combat robot the battlefield has ever seen, with the express goal of liberating occupied Anchorage, Alaska from its Chinese aggressors. Summary: the United States Army has succeeded in contracting both Robco and General Atomics International to work on their first joint project. The robot they create, Liberty Prime, will be the very embodiment of American military might, a walking, talking, nuke-tossing hero who will remind the world what it means to be a superpower. I am fully confident that the presence of Liberty Prime at the Anchorage front line will be to the Chinese what the Hiroshima bomb was to the Japanese in 1945. General Constantine Chase. We remember meeting General Constantine Chase, or a virtual version of him, during the Operation Anchorage DLC. And the next one, Capital Post article June 3rd, 2072, by Walter Streetbeat Monroe, Capital Post staff writer. In a startling turnaround from their previous policy of complete covert development, the United States Army has confirmed that they are indeed working on a new super weapon, one designed specifically to crush the Red Chinese invasion force and liberate occupied Anchorage, Alaska once and for all. Speaking at an Army press conference at the Pentagon, General Constantine Chase stated, "No more secrets. The time has come to lay all our cards on the table so that the Chinese can see with their own eyes that we've got the winning hand." The United States Army is proud to announce that for the first time in history, General Atomics International and Robco have joined forces to create for this great country a superweapon that will leave every single yellow-bellied red shaking in their commie booties. Unfortunately for our readers, that's as specific as Chase is willing to get. While he and the Army are ready for China to know that the US is developing a new weapon, they're not quite ready to divulge just what it is or when it will be ready for deployment. All in due time, all in due time. Rest assured, when this weapon is complete, liberty will come to Anchorage and hell will follow. In the final one, letter, Dr. Bloomfeld to General Chase. General Chase, I'm sorry, but you're being completely unrealistic. There is simply no way the robot will be combat ready in 3 months. The chassis is complete, all weapon systems are online, and the voice module has been programmed as requested. But power consumption is still our primary concern, and neither Doctors Honeywell nor Park have yet found an acceptable solution. We had hoped to subcontract Vault-Tec and utilize the talents of Dr. Braun, but apparently he's gone into seclusion, working on one of their own projects, and they couldn't reach him at this point if they wanted to. So that's out. I'll give it to you straight, General. This is the biggest robot the world has ever seen, and we just haven't been able to find a power source small enough and powerful enough to get the damn thing running with all of its systems online. In 3 months, we might be able to guarantee the robot can walk into downtown Anchorage, but all of his weapon systems will be offline. Maybe he can just step on the Red Chinese. Dr. Stanley Bloomfield, Project Lead. so they never got Liberty Prime to work. Even back then, they were having problems with its power. And they couldn't find Stanislaus Braun. But we know why. He was, of course, already plugged in to Tranquility Lane. Backing out of historical records, we can take a look at diagnostic reports. In the first one, May 8th, 2277, here are the results of the latest robot diagnostic. Mobility 0%, navigation translation 0%, internal processors 46%, weapon systems 45%, power management 37%, voice module 100%. Scribe Rothschild is confident that by redistributing power from the weapons to the mobility subsystems, we'll be able to bring power management up to at least 67%, enough to successfully carry out a full activation sequence. In the next one, July 13th, 2077, Scribe Rothschild has completed a new full diagnostic of the robot. Here are those results. Mobility 0%, navigation translation 0%, internal processors 12%, weapon systems 13%, power management 1%, and voice module 100%. Wow, what a backward step. It has been determined that the recent feedback spike, which resulted in overall system degradation, was in fact caused by the installation of the new power capacitor, as Scribe Rothschild suspected. Until further notice, scribes are ordered to cease any and all experiments that involve the rerouting of power from any of the robot subsystems. And finally, under current, and here we find the same general robot diagnostic message that we've already read on many of the terminals throughout the Citadel. It looks like whenever Scribe Rothschild has an update on the robot, it sends out a base-wide message giving them all the update. I believe the takeaway from this is that the Brotherhood and Rothschild have tried a number of experiments to get Liberty Prime operational, but everything they've tried has failed. The key is to figure out the robot's power management problems. They only have 3% right now, and after previous experiments, it dropped all the way down to 1%. Losing even 1% in power management brings all other robot operations way down. So, solve the power, get Liberty Prime operational. That's their goal. Backing out, we can move on to Lead Scribe's journal. In the first, May 9th, 2277, another day, another setback. We had tried, of course, rerouting power from weapons to the robot's other subsystems several times. Each attempt ended in failure, thanks to the robot's overly aggressive combat subroutines. It's almost as if there's some hidden pocket of AI that keeps pushing against us, refusing to let anyone drain power from the weapon systems. I guess that shouldn't surprise me, considering why he was constructed in the first place. That's why I began work on the neural dampener in the first place. I was convinced I could trick the robot into thinking I had actually redistributed the power from some other subsystem. But the damn thing proved smarter than that, certainly smarter than me. All I managed to do was fry some of his circuitry again, and set us back another 3 months. Wait, the robot is choosing to keep his weapon systems at maximum power? The robot outsmarted him? Is this robot partially self-aware? Oh, that's terrifying. In the next one, July 14th, 2277, I'm tired of trying to reroute power like some kind of snot-nosed initiate. I don't care what kind of drain it puts on the scribe's ability to research and maintain the weapons and armor, I'm proceeding with the AVF experiments. If I can successfully create an accelerated vector fusion module, similar to the technology I saw Dr. Lee working with all those years ago, we'll have our first real chance of getting the robot fully operational. Maybe then the Western Elders will realize our worth. So the Brotherhood of Steel was adopting Dr. Lee's technology from Project Purity for Liberty Prime? And I wonder exactly why they're so obsessed with getting approval from the Western Elders. In the last one, August 1st, 2277. Unfortunately, the accelerated vector fusion experiments haven't gone as planned. Bowditch suffered second-degree burns, and at one point we accidentally channeled so much power to the robot's head laser, it discharged and nearly killed Elder Lyons. He was not pleased. Backing out, we can move on to voice emitter test. Clicking it, voice emitter test initialized. Oh, let's take a listen.
Voice module online. Audio functionality test initialized. Designation, Liberty Prime. Mission, the liberation of Anchorage, Alaska. Primary targets, any and all Red Chinese invaders. Emergency Communist Acquisition Directive. Immediate self-destruct. Better dead than red.
Oh, what a gem. Finally, we can try to initiate the activation sequence, but we get an error, failure insufficient power. So they still have some work to do. Turning around, we find a scribe sitting at another terminal. After having read the Liberty Prime terminal, we better understand the entries here on the AVF problem and the leaky hydraulics, but we've already read these. Exploring by the foot of the stairs, we pass by a console and we find a holotape sitting on the arm of a nearby couch. This is Elder Owen Lyons' personal log number 3. What's he doing leaving personal logs around the lab? Listening to it in our Pip-Boy.
I will not allow the Enclave to control the one thing that could bring even the slightest spark of hope to these people. Project Purity would mean millions of gallons of pure, clean water for the people of the capital wasteland. James never got the damn thing to run. Neither did we, for that matter. But the Enclave, if they controlled that much clean water, they would control the entire capital wasteland. I simply cannot allow that to happen.
But why would it be better in the hands of the Brotherhood compared to the Enclave? What would the Enclave do with all of that clean water? Turning around, we find a door to the armory, and here we finally find Scribe Rothschild.
May I start by saying that I am sorry for your loss. I was acquainted with your father many years ago. The world has lost one of its few remaining visionaries.
Yeah, whatever. Are you gonna help me or not?
Taking the loss in stride, are we? It would seem the Brotherhood has more pressing matters to attend to than a 20-year-old defunct project. Out of respect for your father, however, I will offer advice. What exactly do you need?
How did you know my father?
I have been a part of the Brotherhood for many years. Enough that I was here when Project Purity first began. I did not work directly with your father. He and his team valued their independence, and I respected that.
Thanks for your sympathy.
Think nothing of it. Now, Dr. Lee has explained your predicament. You need to locate some Vault-Tec equipment.
Geez, don't strain yourself on my account. I just need a GEC.
I fail to see how such a device would be useful to you. In fact, I doubt such a thing really works. Either way, the Brotherhood is not in possession of such a device. If you are determined to waste your time, you may go off in search of one.
Or we can be more polite. My father was looking for something called a GEC. Do you have one?
A GEC? Goodness, no, certainly not. I must say that there are some who doubt such a device really exists, let alone works. If, however, you share your father's determination, I may be able to assist you in locating one.
Or we can say, I need to find a GEC.
Are you quite sure? I suspect that would be a waste of time. Regardless, the Brotherhood is not in possession of such a device. There is, however, a way in which we may be able to ascertain the location of one.
I'm running short on time here. Let's cut to the chase.
Yes, well, I'm afraid that with the emergence of the Enclave, the Brotherhood is rather busy right now. I elected to take time from my responsibilities to assist you. Perhaps I was in error. Nonetheless, we may have what you seek.
In the archives upstairs is an old pre-war Vault-Tec terminal. I will send word that you need access to it.
So you know how to find one?
Possibly. I'm afraid I won't be able to assist you directly. The news Dr. Lee has brought will require me to be elsewhere. I can, however, give you access to an old pre-war computer from Vault-Tec. It may have the information you need.
You'll find the terminal in the archives in the A-Ring.
It's about damn time.
Indeed. Farewell.
Thanks for the help.
You are welcome. If you require further assistance, I may be able to help.
Ooh. Rothschild responds in kind to the lone wanderer. Better to always be polite, but now we have permission to access the archives and the library.
There's been a shutdown in the port shoulder systems. Looks like the gyros are locked up again. It'll take a few hours to clean it out.
Heading back to the A-Ring, we can go upstairs and then turn right. Here we find that scribe still sitting at this microfiche reader, and we find 2 terminals. The first is the Vault-Tec terminal. This is the only one we can read without losing karma. Inside we find DC area vault listings, and the very first one on the list is Vault 76. Under equipment issuances, we learned that they began construction in 2065 and ended construction in 2069. It was designed to hold 500 occupants, and the experiment's duration was for only 240 months. That's only 20 years. But we know from the events of Fallout 76 that the residents didn't leave Vault 76 until after 25 years had passed. And I still don't understand the discrepancy here. Under personnel assignments, we learned that Vault 76 was one of Vault-Tech's 17 control vaults. It will operate exactly according to the plan dictated in the marketing material produced by Vault-Tech, and precisely to resident expectations. This vault will open automatically after a period of 20 years, and the residents will be pushed back into the open world for study in comparison to the other experiments. We learned that this is only partially correct. They had a darker experiment here that they were hiding even from the Overseer. I covered it in my video on the Vault 76 Overseer that you can watch here. In the next one, Project Goals, we see access is restricted. Backing out of Vault 76, we could move on to Vault 87. Under equipment issuances, we learn that the vault started construction in 2066 and ended in 2071, but the total number of occupants were redacted. Its experiment duration was redacted. But moving on to the next page, under non-standard equipment, we find 4 stasis chambers, 3 plasma containment fields, and 1 GEC. We found it! We found the GEC! It's in Vault 87. But where is this thing? This is the end of the information we have on Vault 87. There's nothing under personnel assignments, nor under project goals. For the rest of the vaults in this list, I covered them in detail, each in their own dedicated video. I'll post direct links to them in the description below if interested. In those videos, I go over their entries in this terminal. Backing out, we can explore the other terminal. This is the Maxson Archive Terminal. In the first one, Maxson Family Dossiers, we find a list of members of the Maxson family. The first one, Roger Maxson, born, not available, died 2135. Second in command of the security team stationed at the West Tech Research Facility, later relocated to the Mariposa Military Base. Assumed command after nervous breakdown of security team leader Colonel Robert Spindle. Executed scientists after learning of their research into the Forced Evolutionary Virus, or FEV. Deserted from military just before the war, Maxson ordered the families of all base personnel brought inside the facility, thereby sparing their lives. Led survivors in their exodus to the Lost Hills bunker. Maxson's wife was killed on the journey. At Lost Hills, Roger Maxson formed the Brotherhood of Steel. As the organization's first High Elder, he formed the orders of the Paladins, Knights, and Scribes. In the next one, Maxson II, born, not available, he was a teenager of unspecified age in 2077, died 2155, took over command of the Brotherhood of Steel as High Elder in 2135 when his father, Roger Maxson, died of cancer. In 2155, while hunting down a group of raiders known as the Vipers, Maxson, who was unhelmeted at the time, was grazed in the head by an arrow. A deadly viper poison killed him within hours. And the third one, John Maxson, born 2097, died, not applicable, son of Maxson II and grandson of Roger Maxson. A gifted soldier, John Maxson was promoted to the rank of Paladin at age 38 in the year 2135. Soon after, he was promoted once more to head Paladin. In 2155, Maxson was promoted to the illustrious position of High Elder when his father, Maxson II, was killed in glorious battle with the raiders known as Vipers. Records indicate that John Maxson had some dealings with a mysterious figure identified only as the Vault Dweller in the year 2162 at the age of 65, which we of course remember from the events of Fallout 1. You can watch my video on the Lost Hills bunker from my Fallout 1 series by clicking here. And in the final one, new entry Scribe Arthur Maxson, born 2267, died, well, he's not dead yet, the only son of Jonathan and Jessica, both deceased, last of the Maxson bloodline. As an infant, sent to the Citadel to be fostered by Elder Owen Lyons. The reason for this decision was twofold. Number one, recent internal conflict amongst the Western Brotherhood of Steel created an unsafe environment for the child. It was believed that the Citadel, despite being located in hostile territory, would increase his probability of survival. Number two, Elder Lyons at the time was in high favor with the Western Elders and deemed a perfect candidate to provide care and training to the Squire. Recent events have led to a lack of communication with the Western Elders. As a result, Squire Maxson will remain at the Citadel indefinitely. These recent events being the outcasts leaving. Backing out of the dossiers, we find the state of Maxson. The state of Maxson in the New California Republic was built in close proximity to the Lost Hills bunker and enjoyed the protection of the Brotherhood of Steel. No additional information is available at this time. What? So the Lost Hills bunker became the state of Maxson in the NCR? So the NCR and the Brotherhood of Steel in California were at peace? Well, things certainly changed by the time of the events of Fallout New Vegas. Even though this entry is unique to Fallout 3, the state of Maxson is not an invention of Fallout 3. We first found a reference to the state of Maxson on an NCR history holodisc during the events of Fallout 2. Perhaps this means that the state of Maxson existed 30 years ago, but over that 30 years, the relationship between the Brotherhood and the NCR began to deteriorate. In the next one, Diary of Roger Maxson Volume 1, this is an exact copy of Roger Maxson's diary that we found at the Mariposa military base during the events of Fallout 1. I covered it in my video on the Mariposa military base that you can watch here. Backing out of this terminal, we can pass through a door to the library. Here we find a bunch of microfiche readers and a number of Brotherhood of Steel scribes. Walking among them, we finally find Scribe Jameson.
Hail, outsider. I am Scribe Jameson. Word of your ordeal has spread. I am truly sorry for the loss of your father. But if I can help you in any way, please let me know.
I have some questions about the Brotherhood.
Ah, one of my favorite subjects, of course. What would you like to know?
What does the Brotherhood believe?
We believe in technology, in the triumph of the creations of the ancients over the horrors and evils of the wasteland. We believe in trust. Trust in technology. Trust in our fellow brothers. Trust in our elders. And we believe in victory. Our forces have dwindled, but still we fight on. Super Mutant, Enclave, it matters not. Surrender is not an option.
Who are the members of the Brotherhood?
Elder Lyons leads us. Star Paladin Cross is his seneschal. Sentinel Lyons, the Elder's daughter, commands the Lion's Pride, our elite combat squad. The Paladins lead the Knights. The Knights are the core of the Brotherhood. They scour the waste to eliminate evil and recover technology. Scribe Rothschild oversees the scribes in their duties to seek knowledge and restore the technology the Brotherhood has acquired.
What about the Brotherhood's history in this area?
We first arrived in the capital wasteland in 2255. In those first couple of years, we discovered the Citadel, Super Mutants, and Project Purity. The Purifier. What an undertaking. The work your father and his team did was amazing. The Brotherhood helped protect them, you know. At least for a little while. But we were stretched thin as it was, even back then. We had to pull our forces out. When we did, the place was overrun. I imagine that's when your father left. I'm sorry. I wish things had turned out differently.
Hey, I found some Brotherhood holo tags. What should I do with them?
You have? Oh my. This brings to light a sad affair for the Brotherhood. But perhaps it is something that you can assist us with. If you have the time, I have an offer for you.
Frankly, I don't give a damn.
That's what I would expect an outsider to say.
We can hear the short description and say, how about we skip the story and you just tell me what you want?
Very well. It's as simple as this. I need someone to collect holotags from our fallen brethren in the field. Bring them to me so that I can record the fallen brothers in the scrolls, and I will reward you. And that's all that you need to know.
Or we can hear the much longer description and say, sure, I've got all the time in the world.
Good. As I'm sure you've noticed, the Brotherhood operates all over the DC ruins, often detached from the main base here at the Citadel. We're short on communication equipment, so many of the groups in the field operate as independent cells without standing orders. Sometimes, I'm afraid that their missions end in their deaths. As Keeper of the Scrolls, it's my charge to write of each fallen brother's deeds. Okay, well, as you can see, we're having trouble keeping track of our soldiers in the field. And worse than that problem, a brother fallen in the field would have no one to carry word of his death back to me. In calmer times, we could send detachments and messengers to learn their fates. But with our manpower stretched thin, we have no such luxury. Which is why I must now ask you for your help. Each brother wears a holotag, like the one you found. Should you find any of the fallen brethren in the field, I ask that you return their tags to me, so that I might record their deeds in the scrolls.
You can't keep track of your own damn soldiers? Who runs this place?
I would ask that you respect the Elder as you would your own father. And rude as you may be, you are correct. We can't keep track of them. And worse than that problem, A brother fallen in the field would have no one to carry word of his death back to me. In calmer times, we could send detachments and messengers to learn their fates. But with our manpower stretched thin, we have no such luxury.
I see, and without radio equipment, you can't keep track of them.
Exactly. A brother fallen in the field may have no one to carry word of his death back to me.
What are the scrolls that you mention?
Scrolls are kept by the head librarian of each Brotherhood bunker. The scrolls are a record of the Brotherhood itself. Into each scroll is written the name and deeds of each of our brothers. Battles, what technology is recovered, when he was promoted, everything. The last entry for each brother is that brother's death. It is important, as the way a man dies is just as important as the manner in which he lives. And so, each man who nobly serves the Brotherhood ascends into our history, to be remembered by those who come after him.
Where can I find holotags?
They are on our fallen brothers throughout the DC ruins. However, I can't give you a full report on the locations of all of our operations. As I said, many of the units in the field operate independently, sometimes not reporting into the Citadel for weeks or months.
Why can't you send your own people to find the holotags?
As I told you, with the increase in super mutant activity and Elder Lyon's edicts regarding our goals, we are critically short on manpower. Any soldier that I would ask to do this task is one less soldier fighting in the field or defending the Citadel. As much as I hate to involve outsiders, it is necessary if I am to properly maintain the scrolls to honor the dead.
What's my reward if I bring you these holotags?
We have access to a great deal of technology, and because of that, there are a number of things that we can continue to produce. I will be able to offer you caps for the tags you bring me, but from time to time, I will be able to give you something a bit more interesting.
Well, hey, I found a holotag.
Have you? It saddens me to hear of my fallen brethren, but their names and deeds shall be records. Tell me, how many have you found?
We can give her one at a time or all in our inventory. I only had one, so we'll say, I have one holotag for you.
Their names shall be written into the scrolls to be remembered forever. As for you, here's your reward. Use it well and in good health.
And she gives us 100 caps. Despite saying that sometimes she'll have something, quote, more interesting for us, she never does. Our only reward is always caps. This quest is repeatable, and between this one and the pre-war book one we got from Scribe Yearling at the Arlington Library, we see that being on the Brotherhood's good side is highly profitable. Hey, Scribe Jameson, tell me a bit more about the Scribes.
Well, there are a number of orders within the Scribes, each dedicated to a specific area of research.
What are the orders?
The Order of the Sword is responsible for weapons research and development. Guns, ammunition, anything of an offensive nature. Defensive research is done by the Order of the Shield. Power armor, defensive structures, anything that is intended to protect us. The Order of the Quill preserves the written knowledge of the ancients, seeking out all manner of books and holotapes.
What order are you a part of?
Actually, I am Proctor of the Order of the Quill. I oversee the archives and library here in the Citadel. We are dedicated to preserving the history of the Brotherhood, as well as unearthing the secrets of the pre-war civilizations. We have a single field associate, Scribe Yearling. She operates out of the former Library of Congress to the northeast.
So, any thoughts on the Enclave?
Quite a few. But most are distinctly unladylike and unworthy of discussion. I will tell you that the Brotherhood has encountered the Enclave before, and their motives were just as sinister then as they are now.
Care to share anything about super mutants?
The Brotherhood has been battling super mutants for decades. First out west, then in Chicago, now here. But this group of super mutants is different somehow. Physically, yes, but mentally as well. If we knew where they came from, we'd know why.
This is a fascinating exchange because she mentions that the Brotherhood battled super mutants in Chicago, but those events only happened during Fallout tactics, which we've been led to believe is no longer considered canon. But at least some of it must be canon. For Scribe Jameson to mention those events here, this isn't the first time it's happened either. The events of Fallout Tactics were referenced by Lancer Knight Captain Kells when we asked him about Zeppelins during the events of Fallout 4.
Did the Brotherhood ever build other airships?
There were less advanced versions of the ship built on the West Coast a long time ago. Historical records about their current status are in dispute, but we're fairly certain that they were destroyed.
So, tactics very well may be canonical. Along with the repeatable holotag quest, Scribe Jameson gave us a note, and it reads like this, from Scribe Elizabeth Jameson to Elder Lyons. Elder, I've read the recent reports on the number of paladins and knights that have not reported in when expected. I understand the chaotic nature of the situation in the field, but tradition demands that each brother who falls in battle have their death recorded in the scrolls. To not put forth our best effort to recover proof of who has fallen and who has lived is unthinkable. I understand that every brother is needed for the efforts here at the Citadel and in the city nearby. To that end, I intend to contract with outsiders in order to recover proof of which of our brethren have fallen to the enemy. I will ask that they recover dog tags from any fallen brother that we find. It is the least we can do without the resources for a full and honorable funeral for them. You needn't worry about providing rewards for these contractors. I will pay them from my personal funds. It is well worth it to me to be able to both keep the tradition and not stress the resources for your mission. Yours in steel, Scribe Elizabeth Jameson, Head Librarian, Order of the Quill, DC Bunker. Wow, that is some commitment to offer to pay for it out of your own pocket. Heading back to the lab, we can go downstairs. We see the room where we found Rothschild was called the Armory, but he's not here now. But while we're here, we may as well explore the Armory. We find another Citadel lab terminal here with all the same entries we're familiar with. On a work table with a chemistry station, we find a plasma rifle. Looks like the Brotherhood is trying to understand Enclave technology. And next to a typewriter, we find a terminal. Weapon Information Research Database. Choose a weapon. Here we can learn the history of many of the weapons from the game. In the first N99 10mm pistol, the N99 10mm sidearm was standard issue military gear following the phase-out of the N80 in 2051. The N99 was known for its ability to survive in the harshest of conditions, and in many tests, the weapon was able to reliably be restored to working condition after an extended period of time exposed to hard elements and without maintenance. The N99 proved to stand up to its claims, and as a result, is one of the most common weapons found in use in the Wasteland. While many civilian weapons were ruined beyond use in the exterior conditions following the war, the N99 is commonly able to be easily restored to working order by anyone with the most basic knowledge of firearm mechanics. However, an N99 in poor condition can often deliver low target and armor penetration, frequent jamming, and greatly reduced accuracy. Fortunately, the weapon was produced in great numbers, and units are available for replacement parts. Okay, so we're getting the repair mechanic explained to us and some good pre-war history of this weapon. I love it. And the next one, R91 5.56mm assault rifle. The R series of combat assault rifles was used reliably following the discontinuation of the M series in the early 21st century. The R series, produced by civilian manufacturer Stench Security Solutions, was made in many models and variations. The variation most common to the DC Wasteland is the R91 full auto urban assault rifle. This rifle was standard issue for the National Guard during the urban pacification operations. Fortunately for our purposes, the National Guard had been fully deployed around the DC area during the time of the war. As a result, the R91 is readily available for those willing to search. Although nearly 2 centuries of scavenging has reduced the numbers of working units, the R91 remains a favorite of slavers and raiders. This rifle can also often be obtained from legitimate traders and arms dealers. Like any firearm, the R91's effectiveness and accuracy can suffer without regular maintenance. In the next one, the AEP-7 laser pistol. The AEP-7 laser pistol was put into service to replace the AEP-5, a model which was notorious for its problems with overheating. The AEP-7 features a new design in the photonic focusing chamber, as well as an entirely redesigned focusing crystal pattern. The bulk and weight have both been reduced over previous models, and it was likely that within the new few development cycles, the successor to the AEP-7 would replace the N99 10mm as the standard issue sidearm for all forces. The AEP-7 took advantage of new weapon manufacturing techniques developed shortly before the Great War. Although many were produced, most did not make it into field service because of logistics problems concerning their deployment during active wartime. The AEP-7 can be a rare find in the capital wasteland, and any models that are produced should be returned to the Citadel for repair and recalibrating before field deployment. I love how they're taking the time to explain the lore behind weapon rarity, how often we find certain kinds of weapons in the game. A nice touch. And in the final one, the AER-9 laser rifle. Unlike many of the weapons in use today, the AER-9 is actually not the top laser rifle that was in service at the time of the Great War. The model line went up to the state-of-the-art AER-12, which saw service in a handful of specialty units. The reason that the AER-9 is much more commonly found is that it was much sturdier and more reliable than the models that followed. The AER-9 features a titanium-housed crystal array, which proved to withstand long years of exposure to the elements much better than the gold alloy housing of the later models. As a result, the crystal arrays stayed focused within operating parameters, rather than falling completely out of focus like the newer models. As with all energy weapons, the AER-9 can suffer from poor performance if not properly maintained. The crystal arrays and non-mechanical components are delicate, and if not properly serviced, can lead to a loss of beam intensity, overheating, and energy regulation failure. Sweet, so we know all sorts of good tidbits about Capital Wasteland weapons. Opening the door in the back of the room, we find the armory, and here we find Knight Captain Durga.
Look, I told you, the Brotherhood doesn't trade with outsiders. If you want permission, you'll need to speak with Elder Lyons.
Well, fine, lady, you didn't actually tell me, but whatever, I'll be back. Okay, looks like we gotta get permission from Elder Lyons to access the armory, but first we gotta find this Rothschild. Where did he go to? Moving south towards the back of this bottom floor, we find the scientists we traveled with from Project Purity crowded around the eastern bathroom.
I need to collect my wits and figure out what to do next. Excuse me.
Hey, buddy. Hi. Yeah, so listen, thanks and all. Really great job you did there.
Listen, thanks for getting us through that. I'm not stupid. I know we wouldn't have made it without you. I'm sorry about your dad, and I'm sorry I've acted like an ass.
Take a hike, asshole.
Fine. Screw you.
Hey, we're cool.
Great. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know.
I gotta go now.
Yeah, sure. Whatever.
I don't know why, there's just something about Daniel Agincourt that I like. In the bathroom, we find, someone's breakfast in the toilet. There's a copy of Duck and Cover in a crate right next to the toilet. We've got sugar bombs, a bowl of cereal, and lots of milk. Okay. One of these soldiers has an interesting way of eating his morning meal. Out of the bathroom and continuing south, we see a bunch of tables with chemistry stations and lab equipment set out. And moving west, we see a big map on the wall. Oh, and it's got a moving magnifying glass. Looks like it's a map of the Capital Wasteland. This must be where they plan missions. Then continuing west, we find a door leading to the mess hall. Heading inside, we see a number of rooms lining this hallway. Opening the one to the right, we find a storage room, no loot in here. Moving across the hall, we find a bedroom. And here's Scribe Rothschild.
Did you have any success with that old terminal?
Yes, Vault 87 has a GEC, but I don't know where it is.
Well, that much I believe I can help with. Step over here for a moment. I'll show you where it is.
I need to find Vault 87 right now.
I take it you were successful then. As it happens, the Brotherhood has some information about Vault 87. Let me show you what we know.
He leads us back out into the lab and stops in front of the big map. As we approach, all vault locations appear on the map.
This map shows the locations of all known vaults in the local area. Vault 87 has been highlighted for you. There. Entrance to Vault 87 will be particularly difficult for you, I'm afraid.
Why? What's difficult about it?
The area is highly irradiated. Lethal levels are all around the entrance. Gaining direct access will be quite impossible.
I can handle it.
Can you now? Without even knowing what the problem is? I suppose then you have a way to deal with lethal levels of radiation around the vault?
How do I get through the radiation?
Quite simply, you don't. To attempt such a thing would be certain death for you.
So that's it? I'm screwed?
So quick to give up. Disappointing. There is, in fact, another potential way to reach the vault. Lamplight Caverns is close by and may provide an alternate means of access.
There's got to be another way.
You share your father's determination, it seems. And in this case, you are correct. There may well be another way. Vault 87 is located very close to the site of Lamplight Caverns. It is entirely probable that the vault may be entered from within the caves.
So there's a vault down there, and you've never bothered to investigate it?
Attempts were made, but our resources are stretched thin. The radiation proved fatal, and so our efforts were focused elsewhere. Perhaps you will have more success.
You mean you don't know whether or not the vault can be entered through the caves?
No, I'm afraid not. After initial attempts to cross the radiation failed, it was decided to focus our efforts elsewhere. You, however, are free to do as you choose. More exploration may be useful, and I'll certainly be interested in anything you might find.
Well, I guess it's time to find out. I'll go there myself.
The Brotherhood simply cannot spare the resources necessary to investigate the area. Perhaps you may be more successful. If you do find anything, please return here so that we may decide how best to proceed.
Great. Thanks for nothing.
I find it hard to believe your father raised such a child. I feel pity for whatever it is you've gone through that has made you so bitter.
Thanks for the help, Scribe Rothschild.
I wish we could do more, but the Brotherhood potentially faces a very pressing, very real threat in the Enclave. All of my efforts must now be devoted to assessing the threat they may pose to us. I'm sure you understand.
Before we go, we can learn more about the Brotherhood from this guy. Hey, where was Vault 87 again?
Check the map in the lab for reference if you like. The vault is to the west of the city, far out in the capital wasteland. Remember that you won't be able to just walk in due to the radiation. You'll have to try and find another way to access the vault. I expect that Lamplight Caverns is your best chance for success.
I'd like to know more about the Brotherhood of Steel.
I'm afraid you're asking the wrong person.
Why are you the wrong person to ask?
Predominantly because the Elder won't like some of what I have to say. But fine, I'll discuss it. What do you want to know?
Well, I'd like to hear what you have to say anyway.
If you insist, what do you want to know?
Why are you here in the capital wasteland?
Well, that depends on who you ask. Lyons will tell you it's because we're protecting the poor, innocent people of the capital wasteland. Most others here will tell you the same thing. They'll do anything for that man.
Well, I'm asking you. Why are you here?
I'm here for two reasons. One, Lyons needs me. He always has, just as much as I need him. We've been through a lot together, he and I. Two, take a look around you. Access to this kind of technology and the benefits it could provide to the Brotherhood is immeasurable.
But not everyone agrees?
No, not everyone. But for a variety of reasons, those who disagree are no longer with us.
How long have you been here?
We arrived here in 55, established ourselves in the Citadel within the first few months. The Elder has kept us busy since then.
You seem to have a pretty small organization.
The Brotherhood of Steel is bigger than what you see here. We're only a small division, you could say. But that's a bit of a sore subject around here.
Why is that a sore subject?
Much has happened in the 23 years since we left the West Coast. Our mission has changed in that time. The changes have not all been pleasant, and have had significant repercussions.
What do you mean by repercussions?
Some did not approve of the Elders' decisions. Initially, they followed because we are all taught to follow the Elders.
Sorry to have brought it up.
You're an outsider. You had no way of knowing.
Then where's the rest of the Brotherhood?
The West Coast, unless something has changed. There's been no contact with them for the last several years. There's also a small detachment in Chicago, but they're off the radar. Gone rogue. Long story.
And again, we find more allusions to the events of Fallout Tactics. Why? What happened?
Lines of communication were severed years ago. The Western Elders have washed their hands of us.
It must be difficult to communicate with the West Coast.
Indeed it is. Especially when they refuse any attempts at communication.
What kind of changes?
We were dispatched with a specific mission. We were sent to locate and secure any technology remaining from before the war. Like our robotic monstrosity, that was our greatest find. Damn thing still doesn't work, but at least it's ours. But those damn super mutants, they changed things. Lyons changed. He decided they were a threat, not just to us, but to everyone. And so he altered the mission. Finding the source of the mutants and putting a stop to them was his goal. Our original mission became an afterthought. We've failed both.
He's in charge, so it's his decision, right?
He's in charge of this detachment, yes. He's not in charge of the Brotherhood. As loyal as I am to the man, I can't overlook the fact that he disobeyed orders, and it cost us. The West Coast cut us off completely once they saw what was going on. So now we're on our own. No communications, no reinforcements. We can't even beat the super mutants, and now we're expected to defend against the Enclave, alone? The situation is less than ideal.
You make saving people sound like a bad thing.
It wasn't why we were sent here. Good or bad has nothing to do with it. Lyons knew that, but ignored it. He decided it was more important to save the people here than to obey orders from his superiors. For years he'd try and persuade them to send reinforcements and supplies, all the while stringing them along, saying he was sticking to the mission. Finally, things came to a head. Lyons directly refused orders, and so the West Coast cut us off. No communications, no reinforcements.
Those sound like pretty good changes to me.
You're an outsider. I don't expect you to understand. We live and die by our dedication to the Brotherhood. To go against orders, it's not something that's done. I appreciate that Lyons believes he is doing what is right, but he should never have disobeyed orders. And now look where it's gotten us. Forces dwindled, super mutants on one side, Enclave on the other. We can barely take care of ourselves.
Care to share anything about super mutants?
Not really. No.
Okay. Are you in charge of the robot?
I am, and have been since we first found him, well over 20 years ago. Liberty Prime is the designation we found on file for him. Magnificent, don't you think? At least he will be once all systems are operational. It's the energy consumption. Something that big with such advanced weapon systems, we just don't have the means to power it. Not yet.
Who built Liberty Prime? Or better yet, why?
He was developed as a super weapon back in the days before the war. The first joint operation between RobCo and General Atomics International. Apparently, he was meant to help liberate Alaska from the Chinese, but was never completed. They were forced to go in without him. They won, but suffered heavy losses. If we can get him up and running, well, I think you get the idea.
Do you think you could repair my equipment?
Could I? Yes. Will I? No. Go see Peabody or Bowditch.
Fine. I'll be going then.
And so you go.
While heading back towards the mess hall, we can explore these other rooms. In the middle of the hall, we find more barracks, lockers, footlockers, and other scrap. In the room across the way, we find 2 more scribes, more footlockers, and a bunch of scrap and books on a shelf. At the end of this hallway, we find the mess hall with a bunch of food and cutlery and utensils. But since it's nighttime, no one's eating here. Though this is a great place to hit to get Sugar Bomb cereal to complete the unmarked quest, Murphy's Bombing Run. The last thing we need to do is get permission from Elder Lyons to use the armory. Since it's nighttime, we can easily track him down in his quarters.
It's good to see you again.
I'd like permission to trade.
This is not normally something that we do. Trade with outsiders has proven to be problematic in the past. However, considering the circumstances, so be it. I'll send word to Durga that you have full access to trade.
Thank you, Elder.
Of course.
Before we leave, we track down one scribe we haven't met yet, Scribe Peabody, who's sleeping in bed.
The Elders sent word of your arrival. I am Scribe Peabody. Welcome, etc. Now, I'm really very busy. Is there something you needed?
I have a question about the Brotherhood.
You want to talk to Scribe Jameson. She's the archivist, not me.
Can you tell me something about the scribes?
Indeed I can.
Pay no heed to those headstrong knights with their pop guns and bravado.
It is the scribes who make the Brotherhood what it truly is. The brawn is useless without the brain, Each order of scribes is dedicated to a unique field, all equally important, all more important than those dim-witted grunts.
Whoa, this guy's got a bit of a complex going on. And the orders are...
Order of the Sword, Order of the Shield, Order of the Quill, Weapons, Defenses, and Research, respectively.
Let me guess, you belong to the Order of...
Sword, of course. Weapons, my girl. You name it, I've helped someone kill it. I'm the proctor of the Order of the Sword, you see. Weapons research, development, and maintenance, all my responsibility.
Cool, the Order of Sword. So any thoughts on the Enclave?
So they have plasma weapons. Bah! It's strong technology, I'll give you that, but limited in modability.
I've already started removing the compensators on our laser weapons to cut through the Black Devil power armor of theirs.
We'll drop them like any other meat. Don't you worry.
Care to share anything about the super mutants?
Foul, detestable beasts. They're like an infestation. We cut them down and they return again and again. Always so determined to kill or capture. But why?
Do you think you could repair my equipment?
Ha! With my eyes closed. And I will too. But it will cost you, outsider.
But this guy has a repair skill of 67, which is pretty great. With the Elder's permission, we can head back down to Captain Durga.
I received word from Elder Lyons. He says that you have permission to trade with us. Good for you.
Fantastic. Can I see what you have to trade?
Yeah, I suppose.
She sure sounds enthused, huh? Captain Durga has just over 500 caps to barter with, and she has a wide selection of weapons. Nothing terribly amazing. I think the most powerful weapon she had on her inventory was a missile launcher, but she does have a sniper rifle and a laser rifle. She can sell combat armor. She has a decent stock of ammunition, but hardly any aid items. Hey, can you repair my gear?
I hope you're willing to pay for the parts. You're not getting them from our supplies.
But her repair skill is only 17, so it's way better to talk to one of the scribes.
Steel be with you.
On our way out, we can say howdy to Paladin Bale.
Name's Paladin Bale. What do you need, civilian?
What can you tell me about the Brotherhood of Steel?
I can see you're trying to appeal to my good nature. Pity for you I don't have one. I'll give you this one for free. We use our big guns to kill big super mutants, so people like you can sleep at night.
What is this place?
You're standing in front of the Citadel, headquarters to the Brotherhood of Steel, Capital Wasteland Detachment.
Anything about super mutants I should know?
Yeah, the city ruins are crawling with them. They've pretty much overrun all of old DC. Do yourself and us a favor and stay as far away from there as humanly possible. Definitely no place for civilians.
I can come in now, right?
That's an affirmative. You're clear to enter, but I still don't like it. Or you.
This guy. Man, some of these guys really have sticks in dark places. And with that, we've talked with every person, read every terminal here in this Citadel. Now, we need to head to Vault 87 to find the Gek. But Rothschild told us that the entrance will be hard to find. He said it was highly irradiated, and we're gonna have to find access through some tunnels. The tunnels of Lamplight Caverns. Thankfully, we've been to Little Lamplight, so hopefully it'll be easy to find them. We'll pick up right here where we leave off in my next episode. I publish many videos each and every week on my channel, so if you don't want to miss the next episode, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. If you have and you still feel like you're missing out on YouTube notifications, consider following me on Twitter at Oxhorn. I update Twitter manually with every new piece of content that I publish. I have a shirt shop with completely unique designs that you can't find anywhere else. My shirts come in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes, and in a wide array of colors. You can find them on other products as well, like smartphone cases, pillows, posters, stickers, mugs, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with more brand new videos.